Gabby, and we are two IVF mums feeling our way through parenting after infertility.
Today, we are talking about naming babies.
How the hell do you name those babies you've been desperate for years?
Did you find that you had like a whole list of baby names that you planned out during your entire struggle?
Beyond the struggle, I spent years naming babies that I didn't have. I thought I was an absolute pro. I figured it was going to be the easiest thing in the world.
And then partners got involved.
And then the other partners get involved, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to give you our top tips today on naming those babies.
Take it away.
Tip number 1. Don't fucking tell anyone. It's the tip that everyone says, but we just needed to reiterate it here. Don't tell anyone once you've decided on a name because, well, personally, we had decided on Laurie for quite a while. And by the time the 9 months was up, I had gone right off it because of everybody's lukewarm response. Just don't tell anyone.
I told everyone, and everyone went, Noah for a girl.
But you ignored them.
I did ignore them, but it took the grandparents a long time to get used to.
I wasn't able to ignore the Laurie refrain from everyone. So yeah, it ruined it for me. We had to start again.
I feel like if the grandparents hadn't known about Noah and then we'd said, it's Noah and it's a girl, they'd have been like, oh, right. But they wouldn't have been able to say anything. Whereas my mother-in-law went, oh, so you're actually going with that when we went for the old...
Wow, but I like it. You had the follow. You did it. You ignored them and went for it anyway.
I did, yes.
Whereas I just chickened right out.
Number 2, your partner has really bad taste. This wonderful person who has supported you all the way through your struggle, if like us, you're an IVF mum, suddenly comes out with, and this is a true story, I want to name our baby after my favourite graffiti artist.
Which is? Banksy?
It's not Banksy, but I mean, let's just say Baby Banksy. Did not happen.
Well, my partner wanted to name our boy Babe.
Like Babe Ruth.
Like Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, Babe Ruth, it's a name for a boy. I was like, that's a nickname, darling. And do you want him to get bullied in school?
My husband's other shortlist names included names from where he'd grown up, like Baby Calder or Baby Hebden, and also Ripley, as in from
Alien.
From Alien, yeah.
Amazing. Strong choice.
Look, if you want to name your baby Calder or Hebden or Ripley, that's great.
That's absolutely fine.
Just wasn't my taste.
No.
No.
My husband also wanted Sugar.
Sugar. Like Sugar Rush.
Like Sugar Rush. Yeah. Also, if anyone else wants to use Sugar or Babe, feel free. It wasn't my vibe.
It wasn't for you?
No, it wasn't for me.
No.
Tip number 3, don't be surprised if it's harder than you'd always dreamed it was going to be to name the baby. Because I personally spent years thinking I was going to be a pro namer. I was like, this is going to be so easy and it's going to be amazing. The name is going to be great. And then I started having arguments with my husband about the names that I thought were the perfect name. And he vetoed them, like Casper, which I still absolutely love.
Name.
I love Casper.
Yeah, that was on our shortlist for a boy.
Was it? He wouldn't have it. Rufus was my other one because I love Rufus Wainwright. But sadly, my husband's boss at the time had named his daughter Martha after Martha Wainwright. So my husband was like, no way, we can't copy my boss. Doesn't even work with him anymore. But anyway, that was that. And it became so difficult. And as we went through the pregnancy, I started to get really anxious because I was like, I don't have the perfect name yet. Why is this so hard? It wasn't supposed to be hard. Don't be surprised if it is a little bit difficult.
Tip number 4, don't be surprised if you find you have to change your plans. Because I had a name that I had all the way through my infertility struggle. I wanted a baby called Ord. I wanted a little girl called Ord. I just thought it was the most beautiful name in the whole world. But when it came to it, I really did have to take John's views into account. And that was frustrating for me.
So annoying.
If we have another girl, if we even have another baby, if we have another girl, I'm going to lobby forward. Like,
Okay, well, I'll support you.
I just think it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful name. It's a beautiful name. The next tip is don't be afraid to go back to names that you had previously discounted at the start of your pregnancy and revisit them and talk about them again because, it's 9 months is a long time. And that's what happened with us and Otis. We'd found Otis in a book. I'd read them out. I was like, how about these names? And my husband had been like, nah. So I just discounted them. And then we were on holiday before the baby was born and my husband said, what about Otis? And I was like, you didn't like Otis? And he's like, no, I do like Otis. Just go back to them, guys. Have another chat 9 months down the line. It's absolutely fine.
Tip number 6, be creative with Googling because we didn't know what we were having. We didn't know if we were having a boy or a girl. So we had to come up with a shortlist for both. We found girls' names fairly easily, but boys' names are impossible. So we ended up Googling weird stuff like names that mean the beginning, and that's how we settled upon our boy name.
That was really nice. I really was quite impressed with that name that you came up with.
Should I give it away?
Lots
I'm going to give it
meaning.
away. The name was Hilo.
Hilo. And what does it mean, Emma?
It means, it's a Hawaiian name, so there's a bit of cultural appropriation there,
Yeah.
but it means the first night after a full moon, so it's kind of a new beginning.
Oh, wow. We went for inspiration from like books. Like I've got one of Laurie Lee's novels on my shelf. That was where we got the name Laurie. Rufus, obviously I love Rufus Wainwright. Just kind of go through all of these things that people you admire. That's a good way to start, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Or get creative with Googling.
Or
get a book like me and find it absolutely useless. My next tip is if your next door neighbour has just had a baby a few months before you, check what the baby is called before you name your baby because there's a baby Otis right next door. Sometimes having a baby next door with the same name is helpful because their mums can alert you to things like this. It's a cocktail called Baby Otis that some company in Brixton is making, which just shows you how uncreative our name was. I thought we were so original. I was like, there's going to be no other Baby Otises in the whole of the world. And not only is there one directly next door, but clearly there's one in Brixton as well.
That happened to my best friend.
Did it?
Yeah, so she... I don't know if I should give this story away, but I'm going to. Sorry, Soph. So basically, she's got twins, and the girl has got a really beautiful name.
She does.
And she was talking to somebody in the park when she was pregnant, I think, and she met this woman who had a baby, and she said, "Oh, I have a beautiful baby. What's her name?" And the woman said that what the name was, and Sophie was like, "Oh, what a lovely name." And then she went away, and however many months later, her twins are born, and she was like, "Oh, I love this name," completely forgetting that she'd heard it somewhere else. And it basically she later met the woman in the park, and the woman was like, "What's the girl's name?"
Oh no.
And she was like, "Oh, it's this," and the woman was like, "Oh,
interesting."
She regrets that decision.
Yeah. Well, I get on very well with Otis's mum next door. We call them the Oti, and we've made our peace with it, but it was a bit of a shock.
I love it. Right, we're going to play a game.
Oh yes, excellent. So one of the things I got when I was trying to come up with the name for Otis was this book, which is, I think, one of the most tastefully designed books that I could find, because lots of the baby name books are really garish, aren't they?
Yeah, I gave you one with 100,000 names in it.
Yeah. Oh god, that was amazing. So I was like, this will look nice on my shelf for years to come. So anyway, we're gonna play a game. We're gonna flick through, land on a page, and pick a name.
Yeah. We're gonna name your baby. If you want to name your baby,
or should we name our next babies?
Let's name our next babies. Yeah. Right.
And yours.
And yours.
Right. Do you want to go first?
Okay. Ianthe.
Ianthe.
A Greek name pronounced Ianthe. Ianthe, derived from ion, violet, and anthos, flower.
Well, that is lush.
I quite like that one.
Frauk. A German. You're probably better at pronouncing
Which
that
one
one
is
than
it?
me. Frauk.
Frauke.
German name pronounced Frauke, derived from Frau, lady, but sometimes used as a familiar form of Veronica.
Oh.
It became increasingly popular as a first name among German speakers in the 1960s. Well, that's that sorted.
Ianthe and Frauke. Guys, if you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe.
And hit the bell for notifications.
Ding!
Ding!